Hey guys, welcome back to the Budget Track Beater series. This is going to be what we're going to call the season finale of season 1. So we got a few things to go over today. I did go to the track, went to Heartland Park, did a track night in America, ran 3 sessions, 3 20-minute sessions plus the parade laps. I am terrible at this job that doesn't pay me anything, so I did not take any video at the track other than my on the track. I took video. And we'll get to that. I'm gonna post some of that footage here at the end of this video. First of all, I've had a couple people asking me about the budget in the Budget Track Beater series. We didn't really define a budget when we started. It was just kind of just play it by ear and see what we could do on the least amount of money we could. But I did set up a spreadsheet that tracked all of my expenses for the car. So this is everything I bought for the car, including the car itself. So the car itself I paid $4,200 for. I bought it used. Obviously I bought it used here from a guy about 2 hours away up in St. Joe, Missouri. So $4,200 for the car. I bought the wheels and tires as a package deal. So that's the Forge Star CF5s, 18 by 11s all the way around, and it came with the BFG Rival S tires. They're 315 3018s. So that was a package deal, paid $700 for that. The sway bars, also package deal. I actually included, there was a strut bar, a strut tower bar included in that also, but since I wasn't able to use that on the car because it interfered with the intake manifold on the V6, because I guess it sets up higher than the Coyote, or I guess the 3 valve on that car. So I wasn't able to use that. I did not include that in the budget. So $200 for the front and rear sway bars. The rear control arms. So I didn't break this up individually because I ordered them all at the same time, so I just took the total invoice number and I used that on here. So the rear control arms and panhard bar, that was $381. I believe I got that at CJ Pony Parts. And that's something, probably the panhard bar you would need regardless. Since we lowered the car, we had to recenter the rear end in the car. So that's something you would need. But the rear control arms, the reason I replaced those is for, because the stock control arms, the bushings were shot. So that was more of a maintenance item really than an upgrade. So depending on the condition of your car, if you already have a car, that's great. That's maybe something that you don't have to replace, so you don't need to factor in that cost. Moving on, we bought the Ford Performance K springs. So $139 for those. We did the Maximum Motorsports caster camber plates with the Ford Racing bump stops. I ordered those at the same time. So that was $296 total for all those. The Brembo brakes, got those as a package deal. That included the calipers, the pads, and the rotors. So the Brembos, $250 locally. Did the front control arms, again another maintenance item. The reason I replaced the entire control arm on mine, first of all, I hate doing ball joints. Secondly, because of the rust, just because of the corrosion that was on them, because I live in Missouri, ice, snow, shitty winters up here. So if you live down south, or you don't have to worry about the rust, then you could probably just replace the bushings and the ball joints. If you need ball joints, the reason I replaced the ball joints on these, going through the maintenance records, I hadn't seen where they had ever been replaced before, and that's something I didn't want to have to worry about. I hate changing them, so I just went ahead and replaced the whole control arm. That's another maintenance item really. I changed the oil, changed the filter. Again, didn't know what was in it, so that was just more of a kind of a preventative maintenance thing, just to make sure that there was good oil in there for the track, because I didn't want to have crappy oil and blow the motor up on the first track day. So that was more of a preventative maintenance. That was $50 for those. Back to the control arms, I think I forgot to mention the price, $277, and that was for the Ford Racing front lower control arms. The fire extinguisher, got that off Amazon, 42 bucks for that. The bracket we made, I just had scraps, here in the shop, so that's may or may not be something you had to buy if you had to go get some raw materials to make that. So I didn't factor in any price for that, because it didn't cost me anything. We did the shifter bushings. Those were I think they're energy suspension. So the shifter bushings, that was $16 off of Amazon. We flushed all the brake fluid. That was with the ATE 200 brake fluid, .4. That was 18 bucks for a liter of brake fluid, and that was enough to do the whole car. I replaced the serpentine belt. It just looked old, looked like it was time to be replaced. So 40 bucks for that. And then if you include our Track Night in America entry fee, $125. So with all that being said, including the initial purchase price of the car to getting on track and putting in laps, spent a total, and this is not including sales tax on the car, because that's going to be different for everybody, wherever you live. So total price, including the car, to get on track and start turning laps, $6,734. If you take out the price of the car, so if you already have a Mustang, total price, $2,534. So I think that is that's a pretty reasonable price to pay, in my opinion, to just get out on track. The car is well set up how it is. You can just start doing laps. You don't have to, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing really to upgrade at this point. Of course, there's always upgrades. Upgrades are endless. Even at the highest levels of motorsports, there's still stuff that you can upgrade. So that's something you're never going to get away from. But my plan with this car, I don't know if you guys follow me on this channel. If you know my other car, it's a 2002 Mustang. It has an LS3 in it. At this point, it's completely fully built. It's a lot closer to being a race car than it is a street car. So the whole purpose of me buying this car was to be able to get cheap seat time. The other car, it has a history of issues that I've been working out. I've been through several transmissions. That's really the main thing is transmissions, but right now it has a bad lifter. So I need to tear the motor down, replace the lifters, but it's other stuff I'm gonna upgrade while I'm in there. It's never ending. I want to finish out the roll cage in that car. So this car, the budget track beater, just allows me to go to the track, do cheap laps, get in cheap seat time. I don't have to worry about anything. So that was the whole purpose behind this car. I wanted to not only prove to everyone out there that you could take a V6 Mustang and go do this, but it's also kind of proving to myself that I don't need to spend $1 million to just get to the track. Everyone makes the excuses like, hey man, why don't you bring your car to the track? And everyone's always like, well, I need to do this one last thing before I can get out there. You don't. Just take your car, go to the track. It's going to be fun. You're going to forget about that one thing you thought you needed. So with that being said, moving on to the next thing, I want to go over some of recap how the car did at the track. So some of the things that we did on the car. First of all, the brake deflectors that we made. I was really worried about the front brake pads because they're just I think they're like a Power Stop Z23. It's just a street pad from anything you get at Rock Auto. That's what came with the kit, so that's what I used. I was really worried about melting those down. Granted, I didn't brake as hard into the corners as I could have, and as I need to in the future if I want to improve my lap times. So I'm going to have to push those braking points a little bit. So I took it kind of easy on them. With that being said, the brake deflectors seem to work really well. I never had any brake fade issues. No complaints about the brakes. And I was pushing the car hard, but there's definitely room for improvement there. So it was my first time at the track, first time in this car, so there's a lot of time I can make up there. Another thing, I was worried about the rear sway bar maybe becoming an issue. I thought that was going to cause some oversteer just based on what I had seen other people running on these cars. A lot of people talk about just using a stock rear sway bar with a square tire setup. So I was worried about there going to be oversteering issues. I did not experience any of that. It could be a combination of maybe I can keep pushing it in the corners more than I was. Maybe it's because the car still has an open diff. So it's probably a combination of factors, but I didn't have any problems with oversteer. And there's several corners at Heartland Park. I mean, I was flat out third gear through the whole corner, and really didn't give me any problems. So I'm really happy with how the car felt. It felt really well balanced. I didn't have any push, I didn't have any oversteer, so really neutral to me. The tire pressure, I started out the day, I started 34 PSI front, 32 in the back, cold. After my first session, the front had gone up to 38 PSI and the back was at 39. So I could probably start out with a little more in the front, or a little more in the back, because it grew more. So that's telling me the tires were heating up faster than the front. So when you have more tire pressure, it heats up slower. So that's why if you run not enough tire pressure, you can overheat the tires a lot quicker. So since this car is pretty well balanced front to rear, I don't need as big a spread front to rear. So I might even try to go even front to back next time out. But with that being said, after checking it hot, I let some out back down to my initial settings, 34, 32, and I just left it there the rest of the day. So it worked pretty well. I didn't have any complaints. The alignment, car drove really well, tracked straight. I checked my tire temperatures after coming off track. It was within 10 degrees inside to outside on the face of the tire. So really happy with that. I didn't have any excessive camber wear on the outsides of the front tires. So it's I'd say it's pretty close to where it needs to be. I was really happy with that. My biggest complaint that I had with the car, the seat. The seat is terrible. It's leather seats, so you slide around a lot to begin with, and then the car has 160,000 miles on it, so the bolsters are gone, and so it just doesn't hold you in place at all. So the seat is something that will absolutely need to be addressed, and then that opens up a whole can of worms with that. So what would be the cheap way out is just replace the seat, get like a Corbeau fixed back seat. You can get those for around $250, $300, which is likely what I will do. The problem with that is you really don't want to have a fixed back seat, with the factory seat belt. It just doesn't fit very well. It doesn't really hold you in place. So you want to go to a harness, like a 4 or 5 point harness. But then when you go to harness, you need a harness bar. But then you have a harness with a fixed back seat. So the problem with that is when you roll over, if the car were to roll over, it's it keeps you strapped in the upright position. Whereas a 3 point harness, you're able to duck down, right, if the car were to roll over. Where the 4 point harness is holding you up straight, car rolls over, basically crush your spine. But that becomes the problem with that. So if we go to a fixed back seat, I'm probably going to want some type of roll bar. And that might be something I either make or buy. I'm wanting to finish out the roll cage in my other car, so a tubing bender is pretty high on my priority list right now. So I might end up making my own, just like a 4 point roll bar to go in this car. So I think that covers the budget. That covers how the car did. Now I'm going to go ahead and let you guys watch my fastest lap from Heartland Park. Alright, that was my fastest lap. Don't judge too hard. You know, my first time out of that track, first time driving this car. So I'm really happy with it. It was a 214.7. My goal, I don't know how long it'll take me to get there. Maybe I won't. I don't know. My goal would be a sub 2-minute lap. I know definitely I could get into the twos, you know, knock off 4 seconds. I think that would be relatively easy. I know for sure, like turn 4 and then turn 10, I'm pretty sure I can carry a lot more speed through those corners just based on what I've seen watching some other people's videos. I watched quite a bit of video before I went to the track just to kind of learn the track a little bit, but until you get out there and run it, you know, you actually like experience the speed and the distance. Until you experience all that, you know, watching other people's videos it was only so helpful. You know, it helped you figure out, you know, which way the track turns. But now that I've actually driven it myself, you know, I can look at my video and be like, okay, I was in third gear here, I was flat out here. I know that. Now I can watch other people's videos and it's a lot more helpful at this point. So I'm gonna let you watch some bonus footage right now. This was my lap, I believe, prior to my fastest lap, so this is my last session. Coming around, I had just passed, I believe, a Firebird. It was like a 4th gen Firebird. Just past that, and then I was running down a Miata, if you can believe that. I was running down a Miata through the turns, and then we get around to the front straight, he gives me a point buy, and then he starts pulling away from me. So Miata had more power than the V6 Mustang, and I guess he was expecting me to blow his doors off, not knowing it was a V6. So I'm gonna go ahead and watch that clip right now. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed the series, enjoyed the build, enjoyed the video. I appreciate everyone that's watched so far. I'm going to try to keep these going in the future. I'm going to try to do some more video on the other car, on the 2002 Mustang, because the plan is to get that torn down this winter. You know, get the lifter replaced, hopefully starting like the roll cage and kind of getting it prepped a little more. Ultimately, I want to do time trials in that car, so there's a few things I need to do to take it that next step to make it, you know, full race car, at least what I want. But I do have some other plans for the budget track beater in the future. We're probably going to replace the shocks and struts on it at some point. Like I mentioned previously, a roll cage, a seat, harness, stuff like that. So definitely more plans in the future. Follow along if you'd like to see it. I really appreciate everybody watching, so thank you.